What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the floor right now to questions on any of the presentations. I do want to actually keep a progressive stack to preference people who actually aren't in the organization. If you're in Philly Socialist, you can grab any of us at any time and ask us more questions. But that being said, does anybody have any questions?
First of all, you did a great job. Learned a whole lot. Appreciate that. You have to pay for that, right? So you mentioned one of the benefits would be free art, and craft and the profit motive. And it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but me being a musician, that's not my job, but that definitely is close to home. Could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think that the idea is that all of the basic goods are going to be met, right? And so all of the robots will be doing the work. I think one of the ideas that we need to explore more is this idea of the defined benefits package gradually increasing over time. What my feeling is that the highest wage workers, they are going to have like the highest degrees of education, things like that. They're going to be the last to be automated out of jobs. So it's going to be people who are themselves automating jobs, like computer programmers, engineers, things like that. They get paid a lot of money, but right now, like low-skilled jobs don't get paid a lot of money, right? So we need to actually say there's a baseline, and we continually move the baseline up. And I think that what that does is that actually frees people out of those jobs. And the question is what are you doing all day long? You have all day, right? You could literally be a musician by day and a dancer by night. I'm channeling Flashdance, but you could be a dancer by night, or you could be a painter. You can try different things. You could try, like a lot of people change careers over time, right? Your career is whatever you want to do. Does that kind of answer that question?
For sure, yeah. The next question is going to be, you must not like Kim Kardashian.
I don't actually follow any of this stuff. I don't know who it is. I mean, I saw Break the Internet because my Facebook feed told me, but that was it. Yeah.
Hello. So I sort of came here with the Barberville Workers League, and I'm very interested. I'm not directly associated with them, but I'm very fascinated by their approach to electoral movements. So in regard to this presentation, I think there's a lot of really great, inventive, fresh ideas for the future. My question is, dovetailing their sort of like hands-on practical approach of having some type of insurgency in the political game with like the ideology that I support, which is the socialists. Do you guys have like the game plan of like how we get here, how do we get to the socialist future? And just I guess I would just say I think the Barberville Workers League presentation, there's a lot of stuff in that tomorrow that I think dovetails with this, that connects it sort of. But I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say about how we get there.
Yeah, I think that strategy is something that is about getting to the next step, right? I mean, I can't sit here and say we have a strategy for taking over the world. That would be delusional. And people actually do that. They'll sit there and try to think through things. That's not how strategy works. For us, actually, strategy is how do we take the next step? How do we grow to the next level? In terms of electoral stuff, look, we're just not powerful enough, right? I mean, I think people talk about what they're going to do electorally, but they can't get 30 people in a room. Well, who cares what your ideas are if you don't actually have the people to back them up? And so our basis is really about developing relationships that will give us power, right? We believe that power comes from people. We need to build relationships on that. I think that when we get to the level to actually be able to compete electorally, who knows? And we'll probably have to create a united front party of people who are socialists, communists, anarchists, progressives, etc. But right now, we're just trying to build our base of power as much as we can. I think that one of the key things is that presentations like this really give us an orienting vision, right? And so what it does is it allows us to not get trapped in the same mistakes that people make all the time. Because I'm telling you, I mean, to me, this is a different world. Like, there is a different world being born right now that is not the same as like the 60s and the 50s. And if you're going to try the same strategies that have already failed, they didn't work in the 60s, they didn't work in the 80s, why are we doing them again when the world is actually drastically changing?
So I think you may have come in a little bit after our intro to the organization, but the reason that we wanted to put on this talk is because we usually talk specifically about strategy and the work that we're doing, so we wanted to do something, fun. We wanted to talk about, like, what is this all for? But our organization is very concretely rooted in action. We're definitely not, we explicitly say we're not a theory debate club. We're about building a mass political party, and our strategy includes our on-the-ground projects, which serve people as well as fight for the power. And so those include, we do free ESL classes, we do a worker-tenant solidarity network where we organize for workers or tenants who have grievances against their employer or landlord to get reparations for them, and using direct action campaigns. And those are ways that we both bring people to our organization, get them to work on the ground serving the people, but also show a vision of kind of on the ground what a socialist world could look like. In a socialist world, of course you could learn whatever language you want to learn, including English. And of course, like, you would have the power to fight back when something happens with your landlord or with your employer, although you don't really have an employer. But, so just to paint a bigger picture, so this is actually kind of different for us to be talking about a vision. Usually we're really deep into the practice. So I just want to share that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I sort of have one. I just had to think of how to say it. Like, what do you think this? Do you think there should be a fundamental, do you think like today's society poses a fundamental change for like Marxist theory of class struggle? Do you think that it has to be fundamentally changed in some way, or that it should be abandoned in favor of something else?
No, I think that, in every epoch of changes that the economy's gone through, then you've had different theoretical developments, right? So, the Bolsheviks took over in Russia. You had Lenin develop this idea of like the two revolutions, right? And there's it was a new theoretical construct, right? Maoism, like this idea that you can actually have revolutions in the third world, was like something that actually had to be developed. I think we're actually in a new period where we're actually going to have to stop talking about exploitation and start talking about oppression and the idea that the capitalists own all the machines, it's all of our embedded labor. We need to just go grab it, we need to stop, pretending like we're going to sit there and have strikes when they're like, look, we'll just, move production to Bangladesh. Now, one of the interesting things about that is that, like I said, capitalism will have reached everywhere in the world very quickly, and so they're going to run out of places to run and hide, and we'll find them. And by the way, there'll only be like 50 of them, so they'll be easy to find. Just look for the giant towers with all the helicopters buzzing around.